running them bulls too much. They've been here before and they're ready to get it done. So with that being said, Lando and Study, break this one down.
You got it, Blaze. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. What a great game that we have lined up now. Seattle Surge versus Boston Breach. Jay, we saw this matchup happen at Major 4. It ended up going Breach's way, but right now, given how crazy that New York has been, given the results as of late, I feel like it's a toss-up.
Every single series so far is basically going to a game 5, besides the LA Thieves series last night. But this series is like a rematch, like you said. Throughout the Major 4 qualifiers, Boston Breach were able to take them down in a 3-1 fashion by winning every single respawn. And it wasn't easy. It was every single map was close besides the control, where they absolutely destroyed them with a clean 3-0. But if you are Seattle Surge, our Major 3 champions, you go 1-4 throughout that stage. And the one guy that I'm definitely looking at to really drive these guys through this series is Pred. Like, throughout the stage, they go 1-4, but he still put up the best KD overall with a 1.2. So that guy's a man on a mission.
And it just, I mean, it wouldn't say kind of things about Seattle, right? If they were able to go in, win Major 3, be our champions, come into the next qualifier, struggle at 1-4, and then ultimately go out top 12, I mean, this is what is on the line. It is going to be a massive disappointment for either of these teams. Whoever loses, it is not going to be a great situation, and it's not going to be an easy ride home by any stretch of the imagination. But Jay, we talk about both of these rosters. I know that the desk was kind of hitting on it. Is there a player that you're looking out for specifically for either side?
Yeah, on the side of Seattle Surge, I'm definitely looking at Mack. Throughout stage 4, he puts up a .88, not really the best stats, but when he enters the Major, that's when you see him play some of his best quality. And don't worry, guys, the game's gonna get started. It's all right. It's all right. Give us a second.
One small delay. It's okay. All right, listen, Bokai's going to be wild.
Yes.
Can we just get that through our minds right now? Bokai's going to be crazy. Seattle Surge, Bokaj Masters previously. Breach as of late, we're going to get to see Nero and Vivid play this map. It's going to be wild. These are two of the fastest players that we've got in the entire league.
That's the scariest thing, because the last time that they played this map, it was all about Vivid. He almost puts up like 45 kills, even though they only won the game by almost 35 points. It's a really close hard point. But when you're allowing your SMGs to really shut down the aggression on the opposite side, that's where you see Boston Breach playing at their best. Nero and Vivid have to be on point in this series.
Yeah, without question. We'll go and take a look actually at the very bottom, right? If Surge actually wins this, they do actually clinch the playoff spots alongside Toronto Ultra. So a lot on the line for Seattle. They also will rise up the standings too if they can come away with this W. Let's go and take actually a look at some of our hardpoint stats coming into this first one here on Bokaj. We're talking about players for either side. Players to look out for. These are the two guys on our screens that are always going to be making some major plays on the map. You got Pred for one side, and it is Chef Tony that sits on the other.
Yeah, Methodz sitting at a 1.1. The guy with that AR in his hand, he has an absolute beamer. But then on the opposite side, Pred, he's so damn fast with that SMG in his hands. The fact that he's over a 1.0 KD on hardpoint in general, that's every single map the guy's putting up probably the best stats for this team. So this is going to be a battle between both of these slayers.
Yeah, it's like one of the crazier stories that we have going on right now in this CDL throughout Major 4. The fact that his team goes 1-4, he puts up a 1.2.
Insane.
It's wild. It is absolutely wild. And it feels like, right, you have that slaying trio of himself alongside Mack and Simp. If those guys are frying, Boston are going to have their hands full.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. At least last time that they matched up, Simp didn't really have the best series. Puts up like a .85. But I know the young man. He's so damn confident when it comes to just playing on that main stage where the lights are the brightest. So I'm expecting him to have one hell of a performance as well. This is just going to be an absolute battle, man. I cannot wait for this one to start.
It's going to be fun. And I want to ask you too, Jay, like, who do you think, in comparison, Boston or Seattle, who is this opening hardpoint more important for?
It's got to be Boston, because if you look at, ever since this team has been formed, their S&D has kind of been lacking. 2-7 overall in that mode. And they lost them yesterday to Florida. That was their biggest thing. You force it all the way to a game 5, almost complete the reverse sweep. But losing those search and destroys has to be in their back of their mind. But here we go, New York. About to get this game started on a little bit of that cage. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. Here we go. Bokaj hardpoint to kick this bad boy off. Who is going to be headed home top 12? Will it be our defending Major 3 champions, or will it be one of the hottest teams lately in the CDL? Seattle versus Boston. Here we go. The cage. We look through the eyes of multiple players, more specifically Sib off the rip. Everybody will send their SMGs forward and also toss their nades out on top of it.
Just a little numbers here for both of these squads. Boston are second in rotation, 11th in hold percentage, And Seattle, they are third in rotation, but first in break percentage. So if you are Boston, when you're rotating early, you need to make sure your holds are strong. And so far, getting a lot of time off of this P1 hardpoint, 13 uncontested seconds, and they're winning gunfights all the way. They're putting a lot of pressure in towards bottom barn, but it's still Seattle right now with spawns.
And one guy that you want to see go off absolutely for this Boston team is going to be Vivid. I feel like he can be the X factor from time to time at somewhat of a slower series, given the map vetoes that Breach decided to play versus Florida, but now it is his playground. Bocage is where he calls home, starting things off 5-0. Breach, a perfect beginning at P1.
Already almost close to picking himself a glide bomb. You have to be feeling really comfortable too if you're Vivid on this map, especially versus this team. Almost puts up 45 last time they did play, but that's gonna be Boston off the rotation, losing their gunfight. So Seattle, they do a great job of just maintaining those spawns towards back P2, forcing all of Boston to try to break this from front plat.
Yeah, this is where Seattle can start to lock in some seconds. However, Breach hot on their heels. 3 players ready and aggressive to try to jump over the top. More specifically, Vivid and Nero, the SMG duo, the men who can really fly and fry, get met with some great shots from the other side. And one guy that we got to talk about is the man that sits on the 3 spree, Mack, locking things down inside of the objective. Let's see if he can start to have a dominant performance as Pred looks to strike with 2 of his own.
Predator puts himself in at least in a great spot. Find that 2-piece. Now, if you're Boston, you still have control of the spawns towards the back, but this has been a great P2 hold from Seattle. Basically uncontested for the entire 50 seconds that they still earn, as Mack finds that kill, but eventually does get traded. No blind bomb earned. But the way that Seattle were able to respond off of that P1, it's all going to be about these gunfights, trades going back and forth, but Seattle are on top.
So funny, man. You look at the score already as we headed toward P3. You got 2 players who are sitting on breadsticks. You have certain players that are leading the way in terms of engagements. A complete mirror of each other. However, Surge sitting in the advantage and also with those spawns toward their back. We'll see if anybody from Breach can start to sneak on through, but the nice nade comes over the top from Nero. Nero handles business toward the plat as well. Great job so far. First wave clear, but Seattle still hanging on, still lingering for a moment as accuracy puts 2 in the dirt.
Yeah, Seattle still have those spawns right there, but now Boston Breach, after dropping 3 players, they are going to flip towards the back. So if you're Seattle, all you're going to really try to do is just keep them in towards that backside and gain as much time as you can. As accuracy with the 2-piece, with the pistol. Just contests it a lot for Boston Breach. Nero does find himself on that 5 spree. But now it's all about this rotation towards B4.
Seattle once again having those spawns in their possession. If it was Boston, these last few kills have been playing off the back foot. Nero narrowly falls off of that 6 spree, so no glide bomb for him, at least for now. But as we said, when it comes down to our fast SMG players, rather specifically for Boston, feels like those glide bombs are just a matter of moments away. TJ trying to make the play toward the back. Great headshot there on Sib. As we said, Boston trying to play that long game, and now they've got the spawns. Yeah,
that was a big kill from TJ to win that one-on-one. Now spawns do flip. Seattle trying to hold from the front, but more bodies here from Boston Breach. They're able to execute the break. Now they just have to hold the push from Seattle, all trying to attack this from middle. Boston trying to get themselves back into this game, down 35 points, but with 25. If you're Seattle, you want to back up. Make sure you maintain these spawns for that B5.
Game starts to come to a little bit of a standstill. Last 15 are going to go the way of Boston. Surge, as we said, time and time again with those spawns. Breach have done a great job of playing off the back foot. Still down in this game. By no means out of it. Time doesn't seem to be too much of a factor. It's really been one team holding versus the other. Not a whole lot of contest, not a whole lot of open time. Accuracy looks to hold things down. Boston really just looking for a strategy, looking to get everybody in somewhat of a force together. But Pred and Mack starting to fry, cut down 2. And with that accuracy, he's the sole man left inside of the HP. He gets challenged and nearly turns.
Nero finds 4 kills in a row to break the setup before he does get teammated by Vivid. But now Boston Breach putting some time back on the clock for them. Only down by 10 points. They're forcing all of Seattle to just continuously spawn towards the back. They can't even get close to this one.
Oh my gosh, and Nero, you can start to see it in this movement. He's starting to feel himself. Another spree where he goes down, but those kills are huge. Pred takes a nade to the face, thankfully dodges it. And with that, Seattle now put themselves in a good spot to walk away with the scrap points. But really, Jay, conclusion after the first set of rotations. It feels like Surge always holding those initial points. Boston getting a lot of that time in between and doing a great job at breaking hills.
Yeah, it's all about the Surge right now. Their initial setups, at least for some of these money hills, that P2 was held for a full 50. But now we find ourselves on a second rotation. Boston Breach did a good job at this P1 last time around, getting about 20 seconds. But They do control the spawns for now. Seattle Surge, their big picture right now is just to flip them.
See if they can do it. And then, in fact, let's actually step aside and see how those comms are sounding in the midst of all the chaos. Let's go to a listening with Seattle.
Can't get on top house, near
Look at top house.
bottom house.
We can control house. Nice. Last guy's in.
I'm pitching.
Okay.
I was waiting for you. Weak up top.
I'm the right.
Still pass the bottom house.
Okay, I'm looking top. Top. I'll put her in gate.
I'm sitting down.
Weak.
Yeah, one more.
Nice.
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 Zinni can be pushing left.
I'm He's water tank, Zinni, one shot, dead. I got time.
Nice. Keep up that right. I'm gonna get a part.
Nice.
Getting a part.
We can
Bottom house. I have front door. Let's go gate.
I hit him with an 8, low water, 8 planet.
Okay.
He's over there somewhere, I don't know.
I'm still playing middle, not in.
On time, trips.
Let's go time.
Trips,
I heard you.
to the right.
Tell him I'm low water. Trips weak. He's on time.
Okay. Nade over.
Play kills. Still pinch and shit.
Nade over.
What about that? Watch. Wait. I'm needing time.
It was a great little check-in there with Seattle Surge, and really we got to listen to them absolutely fry. Go on a bit of a run, but thankfully, at least for the time, Boston are able to contest, get a few bodies in that hard point, and stop the bleeding, Jay.
Yeah, right there, Seattle. At least to initially start this P2, they had the spawns, but Boston breached right through the front, able to win a majority of those gunfights, and then force now Seattle to early rotate. This has been a great hold from Boston Breach to get themselves right back into this game. Now all the way towards P3, you're going to have number 1, which is Vivid, just playing safe towards the back, trying to allow his teammates to spawn on him. But you have to keep in mind where Pred is. He can cause mayhem in their setup.
This would be the worst thing as well. If you're Boston, you finally rotated, you got everybody ready, composed, and interested in this HP. Pred eventually does get sniffed out. Methodz wins the great 1v1 versus accuracy. The two ARs constantly battling, dueling throughout Bocage, but Mack has actually found his way inside of the HP. Vivid goes for 1, not the second. The SMGs continue to trade while the ARs do the damage around the outside. And speaking of such, TJ may have found the lane. Put some bullets into Mack. None of them land, but he could have an advantage when it comes down to positioning, but not gonna happen. Seattle find all 4.
And that's the worst case scenario right there for Boston, because now the spawns do flip. Seattle just have to turn around, basically get this time and put you in a little bit of a spawn trap. If you're Boston, you have to try to get out quick. Simp with the 2-piece. Boy, he does get traded, but still, Seattle are continuously growing this lead with this remaining junk time on some of these hard points when they get a clean 4 dead. Boston, their holes need to be better.
And TJ once again trying to go for the route toward the field. He's the player to look out for. The number 3 in the top left of your screen. Somewhat no man's land, but eventually does find the first, and that will help lead the charge. The forces are there. The reinforcements have arrived, but what can they do with the map positioning, with at least somewhat of the focal point that TJ allows for, and really the answer is nothing. Seattle locked down this barn. They're getting a lot of early time, and they are making Breach work for everything. Nothing landed, no strategies working out currently as Seattle are about to cross that 200-point mark.
And now that's 3 down. You see the positioning of Vivid. He's trying to at least set up a pinch, but great shots from Pred to take him down. Finds himself on a 4 spree as Seattle. Great hold after great hold. Boston Breach, you just have to cut your losses. You have to early rotate. You cannot allow these SMGs to roam around and potentially flip these spawns. Pred is on a 5 spree. If he picks us with this glide bomb, it might be all over.
Yeah, that could be it. 220 reach, 30 more seconds to go. And if you're Boston, you're almost licking your wounds at this point. But again, and the most important part of this hill, the very opening, Boston see 3 members fall. And now Pred, 1 away from the glide, trying to make his way into the flank. Through the sewers he goes. Kill found and glide bomb earned. Nero off the top rope ends up taking him down. And so Boston, somewhat of a 50-50 fight positioning. Not the greatest, but Vivid trying to be the man toward the front. Here comes the glide bomb. You hear it screaming toward Bocage. It'll take down Methodz. That could be the entry. That could be the opening. Seb left to find the other one. And well, Pred, he just goes back to the basics, man. Back on the flank.
Yeah, that's just a great usage of that glide bomb to not allow Boston Breach to get any time off of this P5, even if you're not picking it up. And Pred, he just simply does not miss, man. His reaction time is insane. 38 and 23, make it 39. Potentially the first 40 bomb on this map. He's just going crazy right now.
He is, man. And you see the kills. It's also the deaths. Like, he's 39 and 23. He's not dying. He is not dying. Come here, Nero. Okay. thankfully, for all of our sanity, and at least for Boston fans for the time, the Aussie does get slowed down for the moment. Breach, by no means 100% out of this as of yet, but P1 has got to go their way, and Jay, on top of that, they cannot allow for this time to go vacant.
Yeah, they have to get this time. You have to work double the trouble to make sure you at least have those spawns going towards that next hill. If you're Seattle, it's only a minute left on the clock. You can stay off of it. You just want to make sure you're focusing on holding that field side, winning your gunfights, and keeping them off that point. A lot of pressure towards the middle of that. Mack with 2. They're still soaking a lot of this time, 10 seconds away from taking map 1.
Yeah, and the best part as well, if you're Seattle, again, you have to allow, rather Boston has to jump on the hard point. They're basically giving up their position. They're allowing for one man to be out to dry, and Seattle is taking advantage of it. Pred reaches that 40 bomb. Same thing can be said for Nero, but when you take a look at the scorecards for either side, it could not be more different. Rotation inbound. Seattle, with one body toward the back, will hold on to those spawns for the moment. 10 more seconds before this game 1 is theirs. Some recent bocage struggles, at least so far in land, have gone out the door. Accuracy gets beamed off of that head glitch. Still a few more points necessary. And Sib, he's holding down the cutoff.
Yeah, we're just holding down the cutoff through the middle of the map if you are Sib. But Seattle, all you have to do is get on this point. You should be okay. Last player here is going to be Methodz. He gets taken down, and Pred finds a second. It's all over.
It looks to be over. Pred puts them in the dirt and Surge. I don't want to say pick up from where they left off, but at least when it comes to land, looks like a spitting image. 250 to 177, the final score. And Jay, it was the Pred show again, showcasing why he is one of the best players right now in the game.
He just literally takes over the game by getting his kills, and he just causes so many problems for the opposing team by not dying. Every single time you're coming off spawn, you're trying to figure out where is Pred on the map. Where is he trying to attack this from? Where is he flanking from? They just simply could not put a pin on it. 46 and 28 from the rookie. 35 non-traded kills, just absolutely takes over. Nero on the opposite side, he was there to at least match that energy with 43 and 37, but the SMGs from Vivid and TJ didn't really put up the best numbers, neither did Methodz. It just all came down to some of their setups. 11th in hold percentage on this map, and it showed. You cannot go clean 4 dead, and then eventually for your spawns to flip out, that's the way that Seattle were just walking away with this game.
And it's not necessarily a big worrying sign, but it isn't the greatest, right?
No.
To see that Boston, whenever they're seeing success in terms of the Gavutus or whatever it may be, it's usually when Methodz goes off. Now that, and TJ, when we're in these SMG-like maps, you see that SMGs go off and Methodz and TJ start to fall behind. The big conversation around this Breach roster has been about their vetoes, what they did in the last series, and I don't know, man, it's a scary map to have, considering how reliant they have been on these hard points.
Yeah, it definitely is scary, because if you talk about this squad, at least previously, Gavutu and Berlin were usually their bread and butters, but ever since they have this new SMG duo, it's all about the SMG maps. So when they're playing Tuscan, when they're playing the Cage, you need your SMGs to step up to a whole different level. They just simply could not match the energy and the aggression on the opposite side for Seattle Surge. And now if you're Boston Breach, a little bit nervous now, because now you have to rely on Search and Destroy to get you back in this one.
Yeah, and it's really been a thing ever since Capsidal left. Like, that was the one scary thing about this roster change, was the pace difference that Boston was going to experience. And Capsidal, who was like a number 10 KD in Search Destroy on the year, I don't think anybody was like above 30, like in terms of the other three. And it feels like nobody has really picked up that pace. I know, I think it was Carson who actually said stat to us. Nero, I believe, right now has the lowest KD in Search Destroy out of everybody in Major 4. Nobody's picking up the slack.
That's not good.
No,
obviously with a 2-7 record, you're not going to have the best KDs, but if you are Boston Breach, you do have that history of playing this squad on this map specifically. They did fall to a 6-3, but this is the way you need to be able to turn your tournament life around. You need to win Search and Destroys in order to win tournaments.
And how many times have we seen teams that walk away with majors? A lot of the time it is that S&D, right? We're talking about like the LAG run. They go on that crazy spree. When it comes down to Seattle, S&D was a mode that dramatically improved. Like we said, man, I mean, honestly, teams can walk away with respawns, but it feels like S&D, you know, the age-old term, wins championships. I know at times that maybe it has gone away. We talk more about the respawns, but maybe in this title, or at least when it comes down to the elite of the elite, S&Ds have got to be on point. And as we said, Boston off of those 2 losses versus Florida just yesterday. hoping to see them turn around when it comes down to Tuscan.
I think the biggest thing that I took away from watching them play Search and Destroy yesterday just simply had to be the aggression from their SMG. They're starting a bunch of these rounds already in a 4v2 because they're both getting taken down, and even if it's by a nade or just being super aggressive on the map, just running into someone's pre-aim. If you are Boston Breach, at least when they did have Capsidal on the team, it was all about slow and steady wins the race. You allow your squad to play for that information and then play off that. You cannot just try to rush, bull rush right through a site.
Yeah.
It's not going to really work, especially versus a team like Seattle, who have just beat you on this one.
Yeah, especially when you have a guy like Pred that's flying around. Mack can be incredibly lethal, and we obviously know the man that sits at the back, accuracy. Mr. Iceman can come through clutch when Seattle absolutely need him. It's Surge to answer early in this bocage, and now we are just around the corner already. From Tuscan, Search and Destroy, you see the fans repping either side. Some happy Seattle Surge fans in the crowd after what has been a decent amount of time and not claiming a bocage hard point. But up 1-0, we'll see if they can make it 2, or at Breach and walk away with Old Faithful. At one point, they're like one of the best S&D teams in the entire game.
Yeah.
And as we said, with this recent roster change, their game plan has totally flip-flopped. Round 1, here we go, Jay.
Both of these squads as well on this match specifically have lost 6 of their last 8. But if you are Seattle, at least one of the 2 wins that you do have is versus Boston Breach. But here we go. Seattle on the attack early on. Just going to take their time. Boston Breach trying to take mid-map control. Nero super aggressive in towards A. Seattle just trying to not allow anyone to be super aggressive through middle, and TJ finds that first blood with the nade.
Yeah, big one. On to accuracy, player that's going to play toward the back line. So the attacking team already brought down by a man. Sid looking to find that pick. Note that TJ's got to be around here, but how about the strike out of Tej? And it's a quick 1vx situation for Pred. Clean and confident are the Breach as they roll through round 1.
Right there, it's just knowing your opponent. You know that accuracy loves to play towards top fire. Set up the team nades to get that first blood. And at that point, Seattle Surge in the man down. Just trying to be super aggressive through A. TJ with the sniper takes down Simp. You saw a little head scratch there. Just wasn't expecting that, but very, very clean round from Boston Breach to start us off.
One thing, too. We'll see Boston now enter in toward their first look at attack, is that for Seattle, they've had some struggles when it comes down to both Mack and Pred. I believe they're around the 0.9 range in S&D. So it's not just been Boston has been struggling in S&D. There are certain players that absolutely have for Seattle as well. Pred brought down to half health, manages to stay alive, but Boston have placed themselves very, very closely inside of P5.
And Boston are trying to set up for this B push because whenever they attack towards this B site, they have an 83% win rate. That probably sounds crazy. They only done it 6 rounds.
Here's the 7.
Pretty good at it. Here we go. Nero starts it off with the first engagement. Already Boston in the man advantage, and this is where you know Seattle are going to play for that rotation back. You got all the information that you need. Let's rotate this bomb over back towards A.
This is a great call out of Breach, and Vivid could catch the aggression out of Pred. Spots him and takes him down. A great pick there from Mr. Drost. Is now Seattle a quick 2v4. And really, TJ, he's making sure that every single angle is locked down. Mack for 1, that's all he's going to get. And another solid round out of Boston. Slow and steady, wins the race. They find the pick, they rotate. And from there, Seattle never stood a chance, Jay.
That's two rounds now where Boston Breach have found that first blood. And on this map specifically, they are 80% in finding that first blood. 2nd overall in the entire league. And it's showing as Seattle Surge in the man disadvantage cannot put a plan together to at least try to clutch up on one of these rounds. Now Seattle back on the attack.
See if Sib likes to bring out the big boy. And in fact, he will. Back to business, our Seattle. Mack with the bomb on his back. May have to deal with somebody like Methodz. However, it is Vivid that strikes early over at P5. And he has made the quickest of rotations. Eager, hungry to get back in the fight and put that AR to good use. Nero able to put in a few bullets before, oh my goodness, getting away. Accuracy thought he had him dead to rights. Another first and another second pick for Boston. Mack will find the timing just to make the numbers a little easier.
So now in the 2v3, Sib and Mack trying to clutch it up and get Seattle on the board. Trying to play some mind games, playing slow towards that field side, but look at number 3 in TJ. He's ready for that wrap towards B. You know they cannot push through middle map, so they basically have him trapped towards this field area. 30 seconds left on the clock. They're going to make that push over towards B, and Boston, they're ready for it.
Boston continue to allow for the play to come to them. Sib, eager with that reticle. He's got somebody in the corner that he's got to deal with. His teammate falls, but at least he stays alive. Only 15 seconds to play with. Grabs the auto off the ground. And with 2 players still lingering, still hiding, it feels like he is about to be dead to rights again. Breach, slow down the map. And it has worked out 3-0 now.
3 first bloods. They take mid-map control. They take control of bottom fountain. Find that first kill onto Pred, because you know, at least the play style of Pred, he's always going to at least put himself in that P5 position, trying to play for that late flank. So as long as you're shutting down the playmaker on the opposite side, you are setting yourself up to potentially close out these rounds as Boston, not making mistakes in this search and destroy. Like you said, slow and steady wins the race, but this time Seattle, they're taking full-on mid-map control.
They're indeed, they have a lot of players as well established over toward the well. Mack with 1, Mack with 2, and Pred with the 3rd. Methodz left in the quickest of 1v4s, but by no means waving the white flag. While the bomb is not in the greatest of spots, he still has plenty of time to work with. A 1v4, never easy. But again, we're talking about Zitty, cut down, and thankfully Seattle, a round that you'd say they had to win, and they're finally able to get one.
And that was all about the teamwork right there from Accuracy and Pred. They were aggressive through middle. Pred slides down those fountain steps, and Accuracy was ready for that player on the opposite side. Takes that first blood for the first time for Seattle. Finally get themselves on the board. And now they just have to figure out attacks. Boston Breach is just picking them apart, finding that early first blood, and then basically trapping them on their attacking rounds.
Oh my goodness. And Accuracy will remain on the donut. Another first blood for Boston. And Chef Tony will strike first. And Seattle still willing to go for the play. They know that Methodz has got to be around here. The stun gets tossed out, greeted by the nade. Everything in the kitchen sink ultimately tossed at Seattle, and that nade will also drop Mack as well. An excellent start here for Methodz, and he will set his teammates up for success. 2 kills along with an assist, and now it is Sib. 1v4. Check your corners. Oh, okay.
He checked it.
He did check it, but it didn't matter. That is a frustrating gunfight, Jay.
It definitely is, especially going up against Nero. You know, his reaction time is insane. What a snap from that young man. But another first blood in favor of Boston, and just shutting down the guy on Seattle Surge who usually leads in the majority of these rounds. They're not leaving Accuracy in any clutch situations. They do not want to force the Iceman to potentially get them back into this game, but Boston now up 4-1, all out aggressive towards A, and Seattle going to do the same thing. Trades go back and forth from Mack. He comes out on top with 2.
Yeah, Mack, he help. That's going to be 3 in ace territory, as it's all up to TJHaly, stunned and maybe somewhat dazed. He knows the players are going to be challenging from every corner. That gun is going to be revealed and handled. Excellent plays coming in from Seattle, and more specifically out of Mack. He has been the only guy that seems to be doing the damage. Oh, and he walks away with the ace as well.
He gets the ace. That's huge, because now he finds himself on a little spree. Down 4-2. Potentially earn yourself a glide bomb. But if you're Seattle, let's completely just forget. Yeah.
Look at the kill disparity.
Not good. Mack is
has
literally
9.
Someone help him.
Everybody else combined has 3.
Not good.
Mack needs some help. Come on, Seattle. The man needs a little bit of support. Oh my goodness, Sib watches that bullet whistle right past his ear, and it's Vivid who is able to strike, not for 1, and I guess that's all it's going to be. Mack does thankfully extend the streak, and sniper shots are exchanged either which way. Accuracy gets on the board. Seattle with numbers.
Seattle with numbers, but I think Accuracy was at least able to spot Nero. Goes for the challenge, a little bit of assistance from Sib. So now it's all left up to TJ. Bomb is going to get planted, but Sib with the jump shot, able to take him down. And Seattle Surge are not relying on any more individual plays. It's a 4-man push towards either side of the map.
Okay, young fella.
And they're just coming out swinging. What a shot from Sib, now down 4-3.
What a nasty shot that is from the Røkkr. We know that he has got that talent within him and puts it on full display. Mack at least does get some assistance in that round. Accuracy with 1 and Sib with 2. And just like that, Seattle down 1 round already. Boston hungry and eager to reclaim this advantage as things start to slow down for the moment. Breach, a much more defensive setup, much more passive look as they come into this.
Yeah, they're just trying to catch one player, trying to be aggressive on the map through A or through P5. This time Seattle holding strong around that 50-yard line, just waiting for the push to come to them. As Boston, they take control of P5, crack a couple windows open. But Mack on that 5 spree, you cannot run into him and potentially give him that glide bomb.
Incredibly careful. Stun goes out. That's going to open the door. And for Boston, they're left to have to reveal themselves. Mack on the 5 spree. Valuable position. One player snuck his way through. Pred, tried and true, tries to stay alive, but it's ultimately the nade over the top. Now one away from the glide. And you see the expression on his face, what it meant to walk away with that gunfight. Seattle, despite having guns up and prepared, lose the man advantage and one more on top of it. Bomb has got to get planted, and it will. Sib still with the sniper. Brings out the pistol. Oh, he's got the beat down. A fist of fury for Nero, but Breach able to get some distance. Up 5-3.
Just taking your time if you're Boston Breach. Allowing the play to come to you. They get that first blood with the nade. Then the biggest kill of the round had to be Methodz taking down Mack. Does not allow him to earn that glide bomb. As now Boston Breach find themselves at game point. Someone still needs to help Mack. Someone spawn in. Come on.
Sib has at least contributed a little bit, but yeah, you're seeing the 1 and 5 from accuracy, the 2 and 7 for Pred. Seattle, slow down. They're fast SMG, they're slow AR. Ultimately getting picked apart so far throughout this S&D. Is this where we call it curtains for Breach? Is this the round where they bring it back? Utility tossed, and Seattle have got themselves placed over toward the field. Nero trying to go for some acrobatics onto the statue. And while it's not ultimately accomplished, it probably works out better in his favor considering where Pred sits.
Yeah, Pred definitely got those sound cues. There's a couple players in towards P5 as the bomb is going to get planted towards A. Vivid finds the first blood, and already Seattle in the man disadvantage. It's all going to be on Pred. He does find the first, tries to find the second, but TJ, he's there for the trade. Now 3v2.
You like that hunger out of Pred, but still an awkward position to be in. He falls. Accuracy, a gunfight he has to take, traded, and now it brings it to a 1v2. Sib once more left in a position to clutch. And he has that bomb still to watch over. Methodz and Vivid gonna try to stack this. Gonna have somebody try to watch over.
He's on it.
On the defuse. And Sib has got to handle some business. Is he gonna catch the foot? Is he gonna catch the foot? He finds one, but Vivid holds the defuse, and while he gets the kill, it does not matter. Breach come out with the W here on Tuscan S&D, and it was clean all the way through. Dominance met with dominance.
It was just all about playing for the information on the map. Boston got a majority of the first bloods in that game. But even right there in that final round, the teamwork from Boston to instantly hop that bomb, use Methodz as a little bit of cover to at least protect Vivid while he was defusing that site. That was the best search and destroy I've seen Boston Breach. Ever since they formed this roster, you play for your information. You're getting multiple first bloods, and you're winning your man advantages. Great S&D from them from start to finish.
And it's almost like you saw Boston do what Florida did to them just yesterday. Slow down the game, allow for Seattle to make the mistakes. You see the dramatic difference in those first bloods. I think I saw a quick look at the scoreboard, but I think Seattle had 1, maybe 2 out of the 9 rounds that we ultimately played. Seattle just continued to work off of those man disadvantages, and we talk so often about how important those first bloods are. A huge, huge game for Boston Breach to take. And Jay, we thought this one was going to come down to the wire. Given that we're only in 2 maps, it feels like it has all the legs to get there.
Yeah, it's like complete flip-flop for these squads. Because last time, Boston did it all in the respawns. They're winning search and destroys now, but this control that's coming up next is going to be such a crucial map for both of these teams. I feel like whoever takes that one will be able to take the series.
Okay, a big one up next. Tuscan Control, folks, is going to be on your screens in just a matter of moments. As we said, a top 12 placement on the line for whoever ends up coming up short in this series. No roster wants to be there, considering Boston's uprising, and most specifically, Seattle being where they have been most recently in the championship conversation. As we said, folks, when we come back after the break, it is Game 3. Stay with us.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by Mountain Dew and Zenny. Armor your eyes with Blocks gaming glasses starting at $24 by visiting zenny.com/CDL.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to what has been a very, very interesting day number 2 here at our New York Major. Brooklyn has treated us quite nicely, and there you see the sea of fans, how hyped that they are as we have got ourselves a very, very fun and interesting game going down. Boston taking on Seattle. Jay, right now a 1-1 game, and I tell you what, coming into this, I think we expected it to go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Here we are. Obviously, the Tuscan control is going to be so big for either one of these squads. Boston Breach, last time they did play Seattle, it was a clean 3-0. Seattle have won the last 6 out of 7 that they have played. The only loss they have is versus Boston Breach in a clean 3-0 fashion. And Boston Breach also on this map throughout the qualifiers have not lost it as well.
Now, one thing I want to talk about, too, is really how great that this crowd has been, because you know, we have Boston versus Seattle. They're still getting hyped for every single match that we've got going down on the main stage, but there has been one player in specific, one member of the crowd rather, that has kind of taken, I don't know, taken a new name, taken a new form. We got to talk about the story of Crim7. So we saw him, right, rocking the New York gear, and just earlier, just yesterday, he was rocking the Boston Breach gear. Crim sees him and says, you know what? What's this guy doing? He's got Boston gear on, hands him over the New York gear, hands him over the shirt, and from there, the rest is history. Crim7 and Crimsix greeting each other and hyping up the crowd. That's what you love to see, Jay. It's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, he was trying to switch up. Crim was not allowing that to happen.
That's Crim's brother, as far as I'm concerned.
Crim7, Crim 8, it does not matter. They are identical twins. And if you are Crim7, unfortunately, you had to get checked by Crimsix. You can't be rocking Boston Breach at the New York event. Come on, man.
What are you doing? What are you doing, Crim7? It's all good. You make some mistakes. It happens, but Crim not exactly happy with that, but here we go into game number 3. Tuscan Control up next. And to get back into this one, as we said, Boston are off of a solid Tuscan search and destroy victory. And one thing to think about, Jay, we've been touching on this throughout the series. These two teams met up just weeks ago. Boston took it, and a primary reason for it was because of this very map and mode they played against each other.
Yeah, and more specifically, it was all on Nero. He drops like a 2.3 in that control.
Oh my goodness.
Hard carries his team to a clean 3-0 victory. But this is going to be a battle. We have the #1 attacking team in Seattle, Surge, going up against the second best defensive team in Boston. As Boston are going to start off on defense. They have 2 players attacking through P5, trying to set up that pinch. But early on from Seattle, it's all about this 8-point first segment about to be complete.
First segment nearly done and dusted. First tick through, and really, Breach have been throwing no bodies at this. Finally, the first few kills come through, and it happens to be on the other side. Pret strikes for 2 and strikes for 3. Vivid eventually cuts him down, but he sets up Sib for success. And Mack, quickly and eagerly, rushes right into the base. Seattle, because of those picks, have now found themselves in a great spot when we talk about map positioning. Another minute already added onto the clock, and really, Jay, that's the name of the game, right? Get that first capture out of the way as quick as possible, and give yourself as much time as you can for that B zone. Fred, oh my goodness, if he finds that kill, I'm leaving, Jay. I'm leaving if he finds that.
Yeah, if he would have found that kill, if they're Boston Breach, that would have been devastating, because then that allows Seattle Surge to get a little bit more map control, but they were able to slow down this game, take control of the lives remaining. Now they are pushing up towards the middle of the map. Methodz not missing, finds himself on a 5 spree. 2 off of earning that glide bomb. All of Seattle, all spawns trying to at least push through P5.
Great work for Methodz. While the rest of the teammates holding down P5, locking this one through. Actually, he's at least able to find a pick, and not just one, but also the second. TJ goes hunting, okay. Not the greatest look. Doesn't spot him, and now Seattle on the flank already. Fred, some great work. That's going to be 4 down in the feed at least in terms of the spree, and it's only going to continue to roll on. Mack as well is able to cut down Vivid. Seattle can do no wrong. A 5-team spree before Sib hits the deck. The Breach starting to stabilize. Mack still on the flank. At least able to cut down 1. Can he find the second? You bet that he does. Problem being is that all of his teammates have already been evaporated, already been eradicated, and sent back to the other side of the map, made it on the clock.
Yeah, and Seattle were not able to complete that first segment on that B point. So Boston do a great job of at least contesting it when they needed to. Now currently down by 2 lives, Seattle, they love to do this 2-2 split. And they have 2 players approaching towards the back, 2 players from the front. But Vivid, he might be the guy to break their setup. He's on the flank, he finds the first, finds the second. But across the map, aCBeZy does win that one-on-one. Now all of Boston Breach just have to pay attention to their base.
That's just one of your favorite parts as well if you are Breach. Now with this new addition, what Vivid can do, the annoyance, the problem. It's almost like a fly swarming around you that you just can't kill. Vivid always on the flank causing issues. And speaking of flank, Seattle trying to make something happen. TJ does get dealt with in the end, and really just another push where Surge, out of desperation, have to send a few players forward. Give it a nice pick out of Sib. Could set Seattle up for success. They've got 3 players combined together, but it's not going to be easy to cut down this Breach front. Methodz does the damage toward the back. Mack tosses out an nade, says a prayer, jumps on in, cuts one down. And can he have that teammate support? They are here in numbers. But it's Vivid. Again on the flank, he strikes again.
Just consistently putting himself in great position. As he survived the 5th as well. This SMG duo, ever since they have been formed, have been putting on an absolute show. Boston Breach hold strong on the defensive end. Do not give up a segment. And now if you're Vivid, on that 5 spree, play this round slow so you can earn that glide bomb, make the game a little easier.
And normally, Jay, you know, if you're like a team like Boston, you're like, okay, cool, like, you know, we won that round. But versus Seattle, who have been so good on their attacks, I feel like you're almost thinking way higher about yourself after a round like that. 2 players on streaks as we head into round 2, and Breach take their first look at attack. The man that we have to be taking a look at is going to be Vivid on the 5 spree. See if he can extend it forward. There's really no presence on that A zone. Potentially Boston playing very much in favor of these sprees.
They're just taking their time. Not trying to allow any Seattle Surge players to sneak on through and potentially set up a bunch of these pinches. As aCBeZy is going to be the only player over towards A. Actually, 2 players are here for Boston, but big kill from Mack to take down Vivid. Last player on the point is going to be Nero. Nero with the big 2, almost a big 3, but Sib, great shots, able to equalize him. Now they do not complete that first segment on A, and time is starting to tick.
Yeah, and I guess the streak investment doesn't exactly work out as well as you would have preferred if you are Boston. 40 seconds left, and now they find themselves in a hole.
If you're Boston, you just have to get out. You had to try to complete this A point. Because you know, right now, Seattle Surge are up by 3 segments, but Fred, he's still slaying around that A point. aCBeZy through the middle of the map. Last player up is going to be Vivid, alongside Nero. 24 seconds, you have to win these gunfights. Find the first onto aCBeZy. But look at the setup right now for Seattle. They're ready for the pinch whenever they want.
R&D, they toss the utility, trying to weaken up these Breach players. Job done so far, but nobody yet to be erased off of the point. TJ does get dealt with in the back, and that will set up the flank for Mr. Pred on the 4 spree. Looks to take down everybody, but Methodz cuts him down. And with that, Breach, not easily, but ultimately will capture that A zone. Now, all their focus comes right into B, and they are already at that objective, Jay.
They're here. They are here. Seattle Surge do not have any plat control as well. They're doing a great job just dancing around that point. Lees finds that kill. Trades go back and forth. Methodz finds himself on a 3 speed alongside of Vivid.
Oh my goodness.
With the beat down from Pred. Able to get that kill, stabilize the map, and now all of Boston all the way across the map.
Feels like Black Ops 4, MW. We're seeing this many beatdowns.
Jab, jab, left, right.
Good work. And the close quarter situations really from either team, but specifically Seattle in that moment. All of Boston grouped up in the plat. And aCBeZy looks to get in a better position, looking to gun them down. Trying to make it look like a shooting gallery. Job done for the first. Breach with 30 seconds left. You are already thinking about these could be your final few pushes. The life disparity only continues to grow. And a little bit of an awkward stack as Mack takes 2 down. Vivid, it's great that he's on the flank, but how much can he do? And TJ ultimately will find the 3rd as well. And you just think, had a few more players from Boston from that plat taking somebody down, it could have been a success. It could have been a point capture, a tick for Breach. But a 3 versus 11, this one is all but over now.
Too strong on defense for both of these squads to start us off. Seattle Surge a little bit better, at least in the slaying department. Able to tie this game up at 1. They do not give up a segment as well. Now it just all comes down to, if you're Seattle Surge, you have to at least get 1 segment over towards that B point.
Yeah.
We know how great they are on their attacking rounds, but when Boston Breach are giving up the ace, that 8 point, the way that they did in that first round, just have to transition it over towards B. Have aCuRsy sitting on that point by himself. Everyone else is trying to flood through front side, through bottom church, and through P5 to at least get that 1 point at B.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, as we already kind of know our answer, but if teams will look to try to play it a little bit different, given how solid both defenses have been for either side. The only player out of the picture currently for Seattle is going to be Pred. He'll stay stationary, at least for the time, at P5. First tick nearly captured. Great gunfight victory out of Vivid, and the same can be said for Methodz as well. The ultimate 3-for-1 trade goes the way of Boston. Sib still trying to slow down that time. As a few hit the deck, Seattle get their opening.
And that's 3 down. Great from Seattle to come off spawn, know where these players are trying to attack from, and win every single gunfight. That's 5 in a row. Second tick is about to come in. Mack with the nade onto TJ. Now if you're Boston Breach, you have to kind of turtle up. You have to take your time in your base, and Methodz does just that. Finds that 2-piece to shut down that pressure. A is potentially going to get captured after that win from aCuRsy. Time is going to get extended by a minute.
Yeah, and with that minute being added onto the clock, you just got to think, in these moments, it is huge. Communication has got to be on point for the Breach, considering how solid the opposite side is at this very moment. Let's step aside and see how the comms are sounding in a very crucial moment with Boston Breach.
Church, Simp down. He was in. All right, back on. Shoot fast.
Yeah, one fire.
He's on already.
Some fire. Weak top fire. He's jumping on mid. Pred.
I'm putting P1.
Okay, Pred jumps on mid. Nice, good shit, good shit.
Time. We gotta get kills.
Yeah.
Sib is roof.
No, dude, missed my jump. He's on church back.
Yeah, Pred got my B.
Yeah, we're good. We're only down by 4. Mack is our spawn, probably.
Yeah, I saw it.
Church alley.
The back.
I don't know.
Think we top green?
Mack went back our spawn.
I need top
I'm
green.
right pitching Mack. It was right next to me. Dead.
Nice, I need top green.
There could be no one back our spawn, guys.
Yeah.
The top church, Lamar.
pushing
Green.
Okay.
At the back, guys.
Lamar's in green.
Oh, the back house spawn. Where'd you spawn?
I spawned
Each out of green spot.
Easy,
He
easy,
pull slots, but back
One
back
shot. Top plat, I'm one shot.
Nothing in the back.
I just want fucking P1.
Lamar, boy, really weak.
Yeah, top, back, back, 3 on point, top plat, 2 on point. Our side.
Back shot dead.
Point, to our side point. We're behind him, hold on.
L.
With 2
I need
Got another one. Hey, backside time. Dante.
Yeah, Dante on me. Let's go.
Nice. Then he get the take.
We're down by 5.
Yep.
They have a minute. They're gonna group up and wait.
Yep.
We're gonna go left.
I'm gonna come plat.
I'm up, you left.
Are you taking this?
I'm taking it.
This side, this side.
And you hear Boston really just trying to pick apart, figure out what the strategy is for Seattle. And despite some great comms, Jay, it did not hold off Seattle from getting that 1 tick that we said was necessary.
That 1 tick can be the game changer for Seattle, but 13-7 in lives remaining with a minute left. You can simply outslay, turn this into a TDM game. You can potentially put yourself in the trade advantage. Mack and Pred combined for 2. They know that one player is towards top plat. They take care of him. No more respawns for Boston.
No more respawns left. Only 3 players alive. Can they go big? Can they clutch it out? Pred for 1, and the teammates will clear up the others. TJ, the last man in Seattle, displaying the dominance that they have become famous for here in Vanguard, winning attacks on Tuscan. Name a better duo as Seattle confidently go up now 2-1.
Now, if you're Boston Breach, Seattle did take the very first attacking round of this map, but they did not complete that last segment towards B, so you're currently down by 5. If you win this attacking round by completing both points, you will secure that defense going into this round number 5. But if you're Seattle Surge, and specifically Pred, on a 4-speed, you just want to take your time. This is a huge one-on-one between him and Nero.
Yeah, it almost feels like you get that glide bomb,
It's over.
could be the round. Yeah, could be the game. You said it for me, Jay. You said it very well. And Boston, they're looking for an opening. Really yet to do a ton of damage. Trying to strike as Vivid instantly in the back lines. Trying to do some work. Nero, patience does pay off. And the rest of the teammates ultimately win their gunfight. So a much more methodical look at this for Breach. Trying to be careful of the sprees and the streaks that existed on the other side. While some time does tick away, and Vivid continues to pick up kills, it is Boston who is slowing down that time.
And Pred is on a 6 spree. He earns himself this glide bomb. That could be the game changer. He finds it before he does get taken down. The second tick is going to be complete at A, but aCuRsy wins that gunfight over towards that roof side to at least maintain control for now. But Sib puts himself in a position to get that trade onto Methodz. Now, time is going to get extended by a minute, but in the back of your minds, if you're Boston, you have a glide bomb that you also have to dodge.
These are just great gunfight wins as well for Pred. The man that holds the streak, arguably the most valuable player on the map, gets met with some great shots from Nero. A forgettable first few rounds, but maybe this one can make it all better. There's the glimmer of hope. Nero sacrifices himself, but of course, on the other side, it is Pred who cuts down half of Boston Breach, and he is hungry for more. Make it 3. He wants every single player of Boston to remember this very moment. A legendary performance out of Pred in these last few weeks, and he is adding another game into that column. Cannot be conquered, and really Seattle, the only objective is just find where Methodz is.
What is going on? These guys are running right by each other. Finally, aggreSy is able to find that kill onto Methodz. But that is a team spree indeed for Seattle Surge. Make it 10 in a row, 11. They are putting Boston in the blender. Not slowing down, maintaining map control. Finally, Boston get a couple kills, but 15-8, 30 seconds left.
This could be their look, though. They've got 3 players. They're rushing them into the point, knowing how valuable, how important that the situation could be. And considering all of that, Pred decides to call in the glide bomb.
That's 3 down now.
True, he does take down 1, but that's the only pick that Seattle are able to find. Methodz gets handled, gives the call out, but it's aggreSy. Clutch as ever, takes down 2 in Vivid. The sole man, the farthest pushed up player, has to make the play. He has to open things up. The rest of his Breach teammates, they've got to at least stop the time.
It
continues to tick away. Methodz finds the first, and they're on the point. They are on the point, but Simp takes down 2. Vivid is here. Methodz for 1. It's all on to Vivid. It's all on to Vivid. And Seattle will claim game number 3 after some wild antics. And that 4th and final round. Some crazy plays out of a multitude of different players. But I'll tell you what, Jay, that scoreboard again, 34 and 22 for Pred.
The guy is just unbelievable with the SMG in his hand, man. Every single time Boston found an opening 2-piece, the equalizer on the opposite side in Pred finds a 2-piece of his own to shut down that pressure. Now, if you're Seattle, you're feeling great in this series. I said before this map started, whoever takes this should put themselves in a great position to take this series. And so far, this has been a complete flip-flop. Just like online, Boston Breach are able to win every single respawn. But so far, Seattle, they're just coming out swinging. TJ, he needs to have a better performance. 13 and 34, 7 non-traded kills. Not the best showing from him. But there's always a map number 4 where you can bounce back and potentially force that map 5.
These New York fans, they're enjoying themselves some COD this weekend. Jay, how good does it feel, you think, for this New York crowd to finally have a major here?
Finally, it's in general, man, because we're talking about tri-state. So many gamers have come out of New Jersey, come out of New York, also Pennsylvania. They're all able to finally attend an event with all the pro players, people that they have been watching for such a long time. Get to get a couple autographs. This is the best feeling right now if you are a fan of Call of Duty around the tri-state area. But
they're enjoying themselves some COD, man.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Themselves a bit of
they are. The energy so far this weekend has been insane, man.
It has. It has. Seen some incredible moments, and obviously in this control, they got to watch Mr. Pred absolutely take over again. It was also a great game out of Vivid. The problem being, it just felt like the slaying consistency was not there across the board. We talked about it last time. When these teams matched up in Major 4, it was a clean 3-0 sweep for Boston on Tuscan control. Not at all the case here. Seattle back to business as they're up 2-1 in the series. And I don't know, Jay, what do you think has been the biggest factor so far for Boston? What has really been the primary issue you feel like in these last 2 respawns?
It's the inconsistency, man. Like, TJ is putting up almost triple negative on that control. You cannot have that on a map and a mode where it's highly kill dependent. You're just basically giving up lives for free, and you're allowing Seattle to capitalize on that. But just the way the Seattle Surge and their SMGs are playing, specifically Pred, he is shutting down the aggression every single time. Nero has to get going because at least throughout stage 4, he was their best player. When they added Vivid to this roster, he goes from a 0.9 to a 1.1. Now finding themselves going into this Berlin hardpoint, Seattle Surge, they have lost their last 3 out of 4. And if you are Breach, you have won your last 3 out of 4. So this is just a back and forth series, man.
It is. And I guess there is some sort of calmness, I guess, that comes over you if you're Boston, but at the same time, Jack, but there's no, I mean, with how crazy this weekend has been, you know, when it comes to LAN, it just feels like in this game, you can kind of throw stats at the window. Also considering a loss here is going to give somebody top 12.
Yeah.
Right? After how great the Boston have looked, going 4-1, beating Titan after Titan. We came into this qualifier, we came into Major 4 saying, Boston, they have got one of the most difficult schedules, if not the most difficult out of everybody. I think it was Bryce earlier on the desk who said, hey, they've done the hard work, and now they are falling short when it comes down to the biggest of moments. A control loss, a hard point loss, and now they're gonna have to rely on Old Faithful, as we said, a Berlin HP. And I'll ask you right now, Jake, your prediction, you think this one ends here, or do you think Boston have what it takes to get to that game 5?
I just think the way that Pred is playing right now, someone on the side of Boston has to shut him down. You have to try to kill his confidence because he's just running and gunning, staying alive in those important positions, allowing his teammates to now get the better spawns. He's just doing a lot on the map for Seattle Surge. On the opposite side, Boston Breach, I'm looking at Nero. This is a guy who plays at a tremendous pace, hasn't really had the best series so far, but he has to be the guy that shuts down Pred so you can allow your AR to start to take over.
We've seen him do it previously. We've seen him do it ever since that Vivid was added to the lineup. Even Vivid was one to say it. He was like, man, I tell you what, I joined this Boston team, and I never thought that I would actually see a player that's faster than I am. But whenever I met Nero, I realized, okay, I may have to play a little bit slower. I may have to recognize and realize that this guy is a little bit faster than me when it comes down to that 100-meter dash. As Boston are gonna have to fly their way into the series and get the job done quick to try and establish some confidence after what could be a game 5 on our hands. Seattle look to close it out here as we head in for what could be the final resting place of a very, very entertaining series. New York, let's make some noise. Here we go. Berlin HP, Jay.
And Seattle starting on the bad side, usually on this map for Seattle. When they dominate P1, they win this map a majority of the time, but starting off on bad side is not your best case, but you find that opening 2-piece, you already put yourself in the man advantage. The pinch is gonna be here, and that is a successful break early on from Seattle. Now Boston Breach with 30 seconds, spawns do flip, but you're Seattle. This is exactly how you want to start this game.
Boston, this could be a great attack though. They can instantly reply. They've got the spawns for new potentially on their hands. Nero breaks in. Things down on a 3 spree. A lot of times still the contest for Seattle. Only play that's going to be here for them is Pred. They'll like to walk away with a nice 2-piece, maybe get these final few seconds. But ultimately, it's about the race at that next HP. Great gunfight victory for Vivid as Breach will go into this next hill with a slim 15-point advantage. And it's going to come down to these early 1v1s to decide who's got the spawns and who's got the advantage.
Yeah, Boston have more bodies on this side of the map. They just have to win their engagements. But Mack taking down Nero now leaves it all up to TJ. Mack with 2. Great shots from him. Really secure the spawns and now secure time for Seattle to try to get themselves back into this game. But if you're Boston Breach, you have to contest this. You have to be thinking about that big picture because P3, the last go around where these two Titans did play, that was their money hill where they were able to walk away with it.
Some great seconds inbound right now for Seattle. P1 ultimately went the way of Boston as time did conclude, but so far here at Library, they won the initial fights and they've seen success every moment since then. And they will call on the Aussie to send himself on forward, try to find some early picks, make Boston uncomfortable. Breach do handle business, but it was really coming down to just one player who was locking down those spawns. Back to the drawing board goes Seattle. They've got the advantage now in this game, but that easily could turn around considering the hill that we have up next.
Now Boston Breach fully set up for this P3. You have to win your gunfight towards street side. At least keep the trays there. TJ with a big 2-piece followed by Nero's 3rd. Last player is going to be Pred. That's all 4 down. Now Seattle Surge continuously spawning towards the front. Methodz the first cutoff man. Nice little angle through the broken wood. It's able to find the second onto Simp as well. And so far, this is great uncontested time going in favor of Boston. They were able to take the lead right on back.
Turret-like work out of Methodz. Same thing can be said for TJ. He's holding things down, catching everybody in stride, and somehow Nero feels like he has no chance in the world at winning that gunfight and nearly comes out on top. Boston locked things down quite nicely at P3. Get every single bit of those resources. They mined for it nicely. And now it is Surge set up and ready over at train tracks. A hill on Berlin has become more favorable for teams as of late. They absolutely locked down some time, but a lot of it does come down to these early flanks through Warehouse. Breach aware of it. Look to send Methodz, look to send TJ. And a huge, huge strategy call. They've down 2 picks already. That make it 3. Last player inside of the hill is going to be aCBeZy. Found out and killed. Great work out of Breach.
Beautiful break right there from Boston to just take their time around that warehouse area. Able to get a clean 4 dead. Now all of Seattle spawning out towards front trains. Has to try to flood this because Boston, they're starting to run away with this game. A full 60 on that P3, instant break on P4. And just look at the spawns right now for Surge. All the way around that P1 area towards top plat. Sib does find that opening 2-piece, but Boston, they're just doing a great job just soaking as much time as they can.
Yeah. Playing it slow, playing it methodical, and it's working out for them. DJ, maybe even thinking about future spawns, given his map placement currently here in the bottom left of your screen, sets in a very favorable spot. Well, he does net a few of those close spawns toward him. It is going to be Seattle getting a few of those late scrap points. P5 now ready up and prepared. Somebody does sit toward top 3. Vivid with the call out, able to take him down. And with that, Boston find a few in stride. Now they've got the time, got the advantage. And TJ looks to kill a few players, take them down off the spawn. Already a much better performance in this respawn out of TJ.
Yeah, and if you're Seattle Surge, you have to at least get them off at this time. See number 6 in aCBeZy, the route man. Gonna put himself all the way towards top. Pat finds that first kill, and his teammates combine for the rest of them. As they're able to get Boston off of that time, but Boston secure the spawns by taking down aCBeZy, keep control of that top plat. So as long as they're able to not give up P1 as easily as they did in the first go around, they should be able to grow this lead even more.
See quite a few players as well from Boston over toward the track side, getting into ticket. It looked like for a moment they could try to force their way through. And they will have that spawn going in for next. So Seattle do get some much needed time, but you take a look at that scoreboard, Jay, it really doesn't look that much better as Pred stuns himself. So that's also not going to help either.
But look at Mack. Look at Mack's positioning. He at least puts himself towards top plat. He has to find an opening, or at least allow his team to get towards the play, but he gets taken down. And Boston, they're roaming around middle ramp. They're pushed out aggressively towards trains. These guys are coming out swinging so far on this second rotation. The lead is growing. Almost gonna find themselves up by 90 points. As Seattle Surge trying to execute the break. Multiple bodies here. Pred and Mack combined for 2. They get the break. Now if you're Boston Breach, all you have to do is just cut your losses. Early rotation over towards P2. Get some more time.
And that was also a huge pick that came in from Vivid. aCBeZy was watching the crossfire on the players who were spawning on the opposite side. Vivid, while he does end up falling, he at least makes that avenue a little bit easier for Boston as they pile on forward, trying to make their way up the street, get into Library. Sib with the same thing in mind. Considering the way that this scoreline works, it's going to come down to clutches. It's going to come down to big plays. And so far, the man who has made all of them right now sits on your screen with a 5 spree brewing. 5 in a row for Pred. Can he keep this one alive and win a few of these clutch 1v1s to bring him back into it? And you bet he will. Right on cue goes the MVP, the glide bomb earned as well. Seattle, right when they have to see their superstar net them success.
Seattle get the break and they get the spawns now for P3, but a clean 4 dead from Boston. Seattle are gonna flip right on back. Not the best plays right there from Seattle. Now you potentially have to invest this glide bomb going in towards P3. The contest is gonna be here, but multiple bodies trading back and forth. Sib, he finds 2, but on to Nero. Can he potentially take Pred out at his point? No, he cannot. But now if you're Seattle, slow this game down, but it's all about this P3. You cannot allow Boston to get a full 60. Glide bomb has to get invested.
We'll definitely be taking a look out for that number 8 arrow. When Pred looks to slow down, when he looks to invest this glide bomb, does lose a fight. And with that, these spawns are gonna get even worse for Seattle if they're not careful. Methodz pushed up very, very far. Here comes the glide. Out of Pred, a huge investment for Surge. He's able to take down 1. Problem being is that Boston, they cut their losses. You take one of us down, that's great. We'll cut down 2, if not 3, in favor of it. Breach continue to come out on top when it comes down to these trades. This double century mark has been reached. And Surge starting to scramble.
Gotta get in if you're Seattle. This has been 2 great holds from Boston Breach to now put themselves at 200. aCBeZy does find that 2-piece, but spawn's still gonna be here for Boston, so the trade should be here. Because the final 10 is gonna go in favor of Boston. But if you're Seattle, You have to respond right here on this P4. Someone has to watch that flank going through that warehouse side. You cannot go clean 4 down and then potentially flip those spawns. This is where Seattle can get themselves back into this.
It's what they relied upon last time around. Can they do it again? Accuracy. Trying to lock things down. Aware of the spawns currently netted for the breach. Pred able to find a sneaky Methodz toward the back lines. Vivid gets handled as well. First wave cleared out of Seattle, doing the job that they have to. Pred continuing to show that aggression. Same thing with Simp. They've got their rookies placed very, very far forward at that 50-yard line, but Nero comes through with 1, comes through with 2. Oh my God, and nearly snapped on the 3rd. A great little wave cleared out of breach as they look to dive back inside of the HP, make Seattle work for all of these points, Jay.
But Seattle, they're doing a great hold so far. This has basically been uncontested time the entire time. Sid finds himself on that forestry, so now going into this P5, it is a 20-point game.
Oh my God.
If you're Seattle, it's all about trying to take control of top plat. Unfortunately, Sid can't win that gunfight. But look at number 6 in accuracy, able to sneak his way all the way through streets, and the spawns do flip. So now if you're Seattle Surge, you just cannot allow Boston to get good time off P5.
One of the biggest plays of the map, one of the biggest plays of the series. We'll see if it does ultimately benefit them in the end, as it should. Trades continue to fly throughout the map, right now favoring breach every single way. Mack and Simp come away with 2. Nero still continues to linger. P5 with 30 very valuable points, but it's Lamar who cuts down 2, drops by the nade. But again, just a lot of time to think about. It is the posture for position that continues to exist here on Berlin. It's accuracy who made the play earlier, and now Methodz is trying to do the same.
Methodz is trying to do the same, but Pred with the reaction, able to find that kill and find a second. Seattle Surge, they're getting time off P5. It's only a 12-point game, and they're going to be fully set up for P1. Makes this job a little bit more difficult for Boston. They have to try to break through the front. Gonna have Methodz again trying to work his way through street, but P1 is here, and the game can potentially end for both squads right now.
Could indeed. The pinch does get established, but take a look back. He goes forward, and that give breach the close spawns inside of fire.
That's 3 down.
2. They find 3. It's instantly accuracy who's left in a position to clutch, and aggression will not pay off for Seattle. Another lead change inbound as Boston have been given a gift, and then some. The nades come through. Mack's able to find 1. Pinch trying to be established. The SMGs fiery as ever. They jump inside of the hill, and now they've got the time themselves. It feels like another lead change could be happening, and you bet it will. Final 15. Nobody can win it here. It's about the rotation now, Jay.
All about the rotation. Sid and Mack are going to be 2 players here from Seattle. But Pred on the pitch, he's able to find 2. Last player in the point is Methodz. He wins a huge one-on-one, but you see the spawns. They start to flip. 2-point game until Seattle call series.
Pred is here, but he does get found out. A huge kill comes in from Boston. Can they lock down the library, or will Seattle break in again? Can the Kings of Clutch raid in once more?
They're holding.
As Nero is able to find another 248.
Gotta go.
248. Pred hops in. The 1v1 victory. And Boston will do it. Somehow, some way, we have got ourselves a game 5.
What a performance from both of these squads. Boston Breach do just enough at that P1 to not allow Seattle Surge to win it there. But then off the rotation, it all comes down to these gunfights. It was 2 points that Seattle needed to close out this series. But the SMGs in those final moments, Vivid and Nero, combined for 3 to get every single kill to close out this hard point. Look how close this gets. Methodz loses that gunfight. Boston, the spawns are in their favor. And then it just comes down to these gunfights. These are the ones you need to take. They have 2 players in towards the point. Methodz catches the player on the flank. Then at that point, it all just comes down to these trades. Vivid and Nero just hold it down the best they can to now force the game 5. word to TJHaly, this is another one, man. What a major so far.
It is absolutely wild, man. We talked about, how important it is toward the end of the year. We're talking about points. We're talking about the top 8. Everybody with that sense of urgency. We talked about how the competition level has never been higher than it is right now. And Boston come away with the W. As we said, recognizing, maybe even feeling it in the later stages of that hard point chase, thinking surely we cannot go down top 12. We cannot allow for this to happen. They dig deep, they win the 1v1s, and now they've got themselves the game 5.
And in those situations right there, in these crucial moments, you look at the guy that has been here before, Methodz, the veteran, steps up, the leader of this team, steps up, goes 34 and 26. And on that match specifically, he's like a 1.2 overall. Every single player besides Methodz was negative. It just came down to that P3 holds from Boston. They were both flawless every single time. And then whenever they needed to break into that P1, if you're Seattle Surge, you just have to play a tight setup. You cannot push out that deep towards trains and then eventually give Boston a free spawn.
Crazy stuff indeed, COD fans. We've got ourselves another good old game 5. We love to see it. New York has been treated and then some. When we come back after the break, it is time to find out who will be eliminated from the New York Major. Whose race will end here? Will it be Boston or will it be Seattle? Berlin, S&D up right after this.
Duty League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official communication partner of the Call of Duty League. And AimLab, official first-person training partner of the Call of Duty League. Unleash your potential.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to day number 2 of our New York Major. We are in the middle of a slobber knocker going down between the Seattle Surge and the Boston Breach. We find ourselves in a Game 5 as the crowd once more has been treated to one of Call of Duty's finer series that we have seen this year. And the reason, Jay, why we're headed to a Game 5 is because of this very moment, our scuff play of the game. Break it down for us, man. This is
right
crazy.
here. I'm thinking like Seattle got 3 down. Last player up is Methodz. At least Methodz finds that kill before he gets traded. It allows Boston Breach to now spawn at Warehouse, and even off spawn, Methodz catches this player going on that pinch, shuts down that player, and then all you have to do is just hold the angles from the front of this point. Mack does find the first, but then it's all about the SMGs. They get that opening 2-piece. They allow Seattle Surge to spawn all the way across the map, and they close it out in those final seconds. But we have another Game 5, and this one is going to be a bang.
New York, if you're ready for this Game 5, can I get a yeah?
Oh, they ready.
Love to hear it, baby. Tell you what, man, this crowd has been absolutely electric, and here we go. Boston Breach, Seattle Surge, somebody's tournament ends after this game. And accuracy, okay, just puts through a nice few bullets, recognizing that he is on the chase. Has to dodge and dive, get out of dodge, and hope that a few teammates can join alongside of him.
And right there, Boston Breach definitely did their homework, because the last time Seattle Surge did play this map was versus a team like Atlanta FaZe, who nonstop every attacking round were playing for that fast plan. Now already Mack finds the first. The trade is going to be here, but TJ finds 2. Now Boston have the man advantage, 3v2.
Up to accuracy, up to Mack. Have to still defuse the bomb. Vivid cuts down 1. It is all onto the Iceman, but tell you what, this would be one of his finer accomplishments, considering that bomb still has to get dealt with. Clean from start to finish. TJ, with his stamp on round number 1, helps give Boston the 1-0 advantage. That's a hat trick as well. He gets accuracy.
That was great early on pressure towards that A bomb. They force accuracy to all the way back up towards the back of that P3. Get the bomb down, you play your angles, you watch your flanks, and Boston just took that game right to them. Now Boston find themselves up 1-0. If you are Seattle, their go-to play is going towards A in a very fast way. 62% win rate on that side.
Got 2 players. They've got Simp and Fred who are trying to get all kinds of aggressive over.
Oh!
Vivid handles 2 on the other side. Seattle cut down 2 themselves. So while it was a heroic effort out of Vivid, Surge counter and stay alive, but oh my goodness. Nero, be careful, buddy. Few shaky shots, but he gets the job done in the end. Mack 1v2, bomb down.
Mack 1v2, Methodz at least gets the angle of where he went. The stun comes in. You know, he's basically trapped in towards this corner, but the nade as well. So now if you're Boston, someone just simply hop the bomb. Do not run up middle, but Methodz is there for the trade. Did not give up over watching his teammate in Nero run down the middle of the map. And Boston, they matched the aggression early on. Vivid, great shots to find that early 2-piece, but once again, it comes down to knowing your opponents. You know that accuracy loves to play that top roof Warehouse. Nero works his way all the way behind him. And then in the 2v1, Methodz just clutches up for the team. Boston, 2 clean rounds.
Yeah, and just great aggression being established from your SMGs. Vivid found those 2 players early. Very questionable kill on the Sim as well, who's hanging out toward top broken. Great work out of Boston. As you said, up 2-0, now back on the attacking side. And it appears that at least off the rip, A will remain the bomb side of choice. Methodz and accuracy continue to posture for position, and given that B seems a little too quiet, Mack, recognizing such, I believe, does spot Vivid, manages to somehow stay alive, takes a few bullets in the end. While all this action is happening, the bomb is going down on the other side of the map.
Bomb goes down at A once again. This time not as fast, but 4v4 retake situation now for Seattle. They're going to put a lot of pressure in through the middle of the map. Simp does find that first blood. But the pinch is going to be here for Vivid. He at least evens up the numbers, knows that the pressure is still going to be here on trains. Now they have a 3v2, make it a 2v2.
Great gunfight victory again from Vivid. Up to Sim, dropped as well, and Boston continue to remain hot. Up 3 rounds to 0, and TJ just gets the call. They know where Sib is, putting themselves in positions to succeed, and again, it's like there's so much action going on the other side of the Mack. Mack's trying to take somebody down. Vivid's being such a great player at distracting the opposition. Meanwhile, Jay, I mean, the bomb's going down, and Seattle have nothing to work off of.
It's just difficult when it's a 1v3 on one side of the map and a 3v1 on the other. Now Boston Breach, up 3-0. Seattle Surge have to find an answer on this attacking round. Just gonna take their time, knowing that Boston are playing super confident. They're right up the middle of the map. They know where accuracy is, and they're able to find that first blood again.
They're at least able to counter. Surge met with some crazy, aggressive strategies. Boston starting to feel themselves up 3 rounds to 0. And DJ, really with the only ears at this B site, he's gonna have to give the call out, saying, hey guys, at least it's not over here. Indicator's gonna go through. Bomb placed once more at that A site. So much action happening on this part of the map. Start things off. Breach left to retake, and that's a great way to start.
That's a big kill from Nero. Gets past the player in Sib who was watching that flank, but the repinch kind of coming from Sib, but Nero has read this beautifully. Nero's able to find the 2-piece, so now it's all left onto Pred. Puts himself in a nice corner, 20 seconds left.
He reveals his position. He reveals his position. Cuts down Methodz. 10 seconds left. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. 10 more seconds left. Gets the stun and just has to go for the challenge. Pred, you are disgusting. Holds off Boston. And the 1v3 clutch is what it takes to get your first round on the board.
What a play right there from Pred, because time was not in favor of Boston Breach right there. It's only 20 seconds left, or at least 15 before at least one player gets close to that site. He takes down Methodz, reads the play beautifully, finds the second, and it just stalls enough time to not allow TJ to work that defuse. Now Seattle finally gets a round on the board. All on the back of Pred, but just the way that Boston have been playing these attacking rounds, it's all about A. This time they're gonna make the adjustment, send 2 players on this side.
Seattle here, ready and waiting. First blood has been crucial. It has been the story of all our search destroys, and they've got themselves another. Nero strikes first, keeping accuracy killless up to this point. Pred found and taken down. Confidence once more displayed from this Boston team. S&D has not been their strong suit as of late, but you wouldn't know it based off of these plays. A few come in for Surge, but numbers still favor Breach. It's all on to Mack. 30 seconds to play with, 2 players to take down.
30 seconds to play with, but Nero on the repitch could potentially earn himself the ace. He's just gonna run right on by. Mack, he has to get close to the site, or at least take down one to make this round manageable, but the repositioning from Nero, he is the safety net, and he's also able to find that last kill. The confidence from that young man to push right up the middle of the map through plat steps, finds the opening 2-piece, does not slow down, goes from all the way top plat, all the way towards backside train, and repositions, earns himself the ace. As Boston Breach, they are dominating that A bomb.
How many times have we talked about it? Seattle, the way that they were able to walk away with their championship at Major 3 was through these very moments. The clutch spots. When the odds were stacked against them, this is where they saw their success. Does it happen here, or has that flame been burnt out? Boston left to back up. Mack eager as ever to get down that bomb. Greeted with some shots. Dropped down low when it comes down to the bomb, but a worthy sacrifice in the end. Accuracy in the back lines. Nero ready for another kill, reveals his position, but he takes him down anyway. On the spree, grabs the AR, and TJ cuts one down as well. The defensive forces for Surge continue to fall by the wayside. 25 seconds left.
Now Seattle, they're in a position where they either have to push out the ball or at least hold the corner, but Mack puts himself in a great spot, makes it a 2v2. Both players towards back alley. Only 16 seconds and counting. TJ finds the first. All left up to Pred. The pitch isn't gonna be here. You just have to take the guy off bomb, but TJ and Nero on the flank, soloing out accuracy. They take him down. They find the second, and we were asking for TJ to spawn in after a terrible map number 3. He's 10-1 with the glide bomb as well.
New York fans feeling like it could be done in this very next round, up 5 rounds to 1, and TJ sits at 10-1. I realized he was playing great, Jay, but I didn't realize he was 10-1 for God's sake. He's got the glide bomb, and now Seattle with the biggest mountain in front of them, the biggest wave, if you will. And here come Breach, aggressive. Oh! Understatement. Nero nearly turns on the second. TJ falls as Mack. A great little moment, but how long will it last? Does get dropped. 2v2.
2v2. Pred spots Vivid, but Vivid puts himself in a great spot. Pred able to win the 1-on-1. And now Methodz in the 1v2. He knows the positioning of Pred. You have to get out of that gunfight because you know that one's going to be annoying. They're just playing the buddy system. Might be great timing.
Oh my God. He can find him. Sib's in the corner. Does not want to reveal his position. Methodz for the game. They slide back and forth. They slide back and forth. He does not see Sib in the corner. Spots his feet. Sib gets out of dodge. I don't know how in the world he gets away from Methodz crosshair, but he does, and extends the round a little longer.
The bomb is still down. 20 seconds to work with. If you're Methodz, pick this right or not, but he's able to spot him. He's able to spot him, and the gunfight is going to be here, but Sib, he was ready and waiting. Able to keep Seattle in this game a little longer. So he clutches up the 1v1. Now down 5-2.
I just don't know. I don't know how Methodz and Sib did not engage earlier. Methodz is going to watch back the VOD and just be like, oh my gosh, man. I could have had it. Take a look at that scorecard. Accuracy has joined the agency coming into this next round. 0-7.
Got a glide bomb as well.
Here's that glide to work with. Surge, you'd think when it comes down to the site, that's where the glide bomb can be its most effective. Another first blood and a headshot on top of it for Nero. Nearly makes it 2. Pred wants to be aggressive. He wants to jump outside a library. Accuracy falls again. And a quick 2v4 left up to the rookies. And oh yeah, you got a glide bomb to work with as well. Pred falls. It's all on to Sib. Last player alive. Can he go clutch? Able to find the first. Nero hits the deck, but the information has been displayed. Sib, greeted with some shots from TJ. Has to wrap around and play carefully. A lot of time still to work with. He does have that bomb on his back, and a pick would mean everything. Trying to dip dodge and stay alive, but it's not gonna matter. Boston Breach will come out with the Game 5 victory. We said it would come down to search and destroys. And while it has not been their strong suit lately, it absolutely was today. They go 2 for 2 and put on an incredible show in front of this New York crowd. And just like that, our defending Major 3 champions out top 12.
That's crazy to say, man. That is absolutely insane to say because Seattle, we thought they were one of the top teams that we currently have in this game. But just the form of Boston Breach to watch stage 4, to go 4-1, they beat this team, not all the way into game 5, but they get it done. Boston Breach, the fact that they lose 2 search and destroys in their series yesterday, come out and make the adjustments like they did today. What a performance from them in that mode. It all started with the early aggression towards that A site. Yeah. They were soloing out accuracy every single round. Every time they know that they're on the attack, accuracy is going to be the player calling out that cross. They were pushing it through B Street. Even that last round right there, Vivid pushes aggressively through train side to take down accuracy. He's the guy that's giving all the information out, and when he drops, there's no information to be given. Boston Breach, get the job done all the way into game 5. What a performance from them.
And it just feels like, Jay, the biggest difference for Boston and SDs yesterday versus Florida to SDs here versus Seattle, correct me if you think I'm wrong, it just feels like whenever they were starting to get a few rounds, that aggression was paying off.
Yeah.
Like the routes were actually working for them in comparison to yesterday. We were saying they were constantly starting off in 3v4, 2v4 situations. I think they go like 8 for 9 in the first S&D. They were getting first blood after first blood here on Berlin as well. It feels like when this team is getting confident and they're hitting their routes, relying on those aggressive plays, they could absolutely be dominant in S&D again.
That's the biggest thing that I just took away is confidence. You could just see the aggression that Nero was putting on the map. No hesitation every single time they were attacking towards A. Goes right through Secret Door one time, pops a 4-piece and ace on the round, and then even right there when 2 players from Seattle Surge are on that A bomb, he aggressively just jumps right through that site, finds the first one, almost finds the second. But when you have a player, especially in SMG, playing with that much confidence, no hesitation to any of his plays, this is when they are able to find the success that they have. Boston Breach gonna continue on.
Impressive stuff, and it's heartbreak for one side, and it's a heroic-like moment for the other. Boston Breach walk away with the W in a Game 5. It seems like it's customary when it comes down to Vanguard, but let's go ahead and send it down to the main stage. It is Blaze, joined alongside by Methodz.
Thank you so much, Lando and Study, for a fantastic cast. Give it up for the Boston Breach. Methodz in the losers bracket against the defending champions, down 2-1 with your family in the crowd. You went over this New York venue and come out on top. How are you feeling right now?
Jesus Christ, dude. I mean,
it was crazy.
Yesterday, obviously, we've been looking pretty strong, so to lose yesterday was pretty disheartening.
Yeah.
Coming today, we're down 2-1. Crowd behind us, surprisingly. I'm wearing a Boston jersey. You guys are still
You even
behind
got Crim 7 in a Boston jersey down there,
but,
okay?
Listen, it feels surreal. I have my family here. I may play for Boston, but I'm from over the water in New Jersey, so this is the closest. This is the closest I've had to a hometown crowd. So thank you guys for coming with the energy. Obviously, Champs is on the line, so we're doing every single thing we can to make it happen. Hopefully, I'm not sure what the point situation is, but your energy is amazing. Thank you, my family. Like I said, I have them all. I'm staring at them right now. I love you guys, and hopefully we can keep it rolling.
Yeah, hopefully we can. They have been amazing in the crowd all weekend long, Zenny. And so let's talk about this series a bit, because the S&D hasn't been looking good for you guys as of late. And then being down 2-1, you get TJ with a fantastic performance in that last map. Tell me about how your team were in maps 4 and 5 and how y'all mounted that comeback to move forward.
Yeah, obviously polar opposite from yesterday. Not winning a search bit us pretty hard, and today search saved us. So
yeah.
Vivid looked at TJ and said, I need a MacArthur.
Okay.
A MacArthur map from you. He just went 12-0 against Paris on that map. So thank God for Tej. Me and him struggled first map. So a lot of people wrote him off and gave him flack, and I think that map right there is a reason why he's one of the best in the league. So my whole team, coaching staff, listen, obviously it's the first round of losers. Hopefully I'm back on this stage later this weekend, but very proud of the team for this one.
Hey, well, you know what? It's been a fantastic series. You guys come out on top. Any last words to the fans out there before we sit them all?
Straight!
Belly! Take it away!
Hey, Boston Breach moving forward. Seattle's going home, and that was so good. Everybody on Boston had their part to play, and the team is looking so phenomenal. But Ali, when it comes to this Boston team and what you saw against the Major 3 champions, by the way, knocking Seattle out of the event, how do you feel about that game?
I mean, it has to be the search and destroy, right? That's what we have to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm assuming a certain OpTic Texas might have just walked on the stage. But I will say it was the search and destroys, right? The first time these two teams matched up, the search is the only map that Seattle Surge was able to take off of them. I gotta let them have their moment, man.
Just so you guys know at home, if you did not come to Brooklyn, you didn't goof, all right? Because OpTic's taking the stage right now, and the crowd is hype. But Ali, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say it came down to the first bloods. I mean, if Boston Breach, I felt like when it came to search and destroy, they just kept getting blooded after blooded after blooded, and obviously when you're bound a man, like, it's so much harder to make that comeback. So today, they were on top of it. It was Nero, it was Vivid. Like, Seattle Surge just constantly kept getting like countered in almost every single round. Boston knew how they were going to play, and I think that needs to tell the Seattle Surge that they need to go back and rework some of their search and destroy, because it was lights out. Absolutely. But now there's enough bot on them where these teams are just going to start countering.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see Vivid had a great performance. I mean, there was moments throughout the series where TJ dropped the ball, but he made up for it in that game 5. But, you know, talking about Boston versus Seattle throughout this year, I mean, Boston's 3-0 against them now. And, you know, honestly, with Seattle's map vetoes, they auto-veto Gavutu Hardpoint and Gavutu Control. That is terrible going up against this team, because Boston, that is a map that when they lose series, it's because of that Gavutu. So, you know, with Seattle, I really think they need to work on their map pool going forward. Also in this series, I thought maybe they should have played Bokaj S&D. They go ahead and get rid of that. That's a map that Boston isn't that good at. So I just think their approach was bad out of the Seattle Surge, but not going to take anything away from Boston. They get that win, and that should be enough to punch their ticket into champs.
Wait. The crowd is currently this wild because OpTic Texas just took the stage. They're not playing yet. They're just setting up their profiles. Nameless, we in New York, but this is always OpTic's house.
Listen, we are in New York City, and for the New York fans that don't travel to the events, Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We're in New York, and for the New York fans that can't go to these events, I know there's a ton of OpTic fans out here showing up here finally to the first New York tournament that we have. They are gonna get loud for OpTic Texas, and Illy's back on the team, making his debut back on land. I cannot wait. This arena is dripping with passion. Make some noise, New York.
Hey, this is what this year has been all about. You guys saw it in Texas, you saw it in Minnesota, Toronto. Listen, you already know the deal. Event by event, things just keep getting wilder. Bryce, man, you're not going to be on the desk for the next series of the day. You got OpTic, you got Røkkr. How do you think this is going to go down?
Okay, so...
Here it goes.
Look, I got to be honest, there's been a lot happening at this major. There's been an awful lot of upsets so far, because it's not always about the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And this is a push for champs every step of the way. Røkkr have to make a move. They have to do everything. OpTic are locked in. This is a practice tournament for OpTic. I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
OpTic do not need to win this. They need to just get better for champs. Minnesota are watching LAG do well. They're watching Mutineers do well. They watch Thieves, Breach, and Ultra. Every bubble team has been crushing it. And now Røkkr are staring down the barrel of going home.
This is the most stacked-sided losers bracket I've ever seen in my life. Boston Breach moved ahead after beating the Major 3 champs, but the Major 1 champs are about to play against the undefeated team from the qualifiers last stage. The storylines are thicker than ever, and things are just starting to heat up. I know you guys are tired of hearing us talk right now, so check this out. We're gonna head right over to a break, but when we come back, get ready, baby. This place is about to get louder than you can imagine. We have OpTic Texas taking the stage against the Minnesota Røkkr. You don't want to miss it. But by the way, shout out to Boston Breach knocking out the Toronto Major champs, the Seattle Surge. They're going home right now in Boston. They're looking better than ever, baby. I can't wait to see what's going to happen throughout the rest of the day. We'll catch you guys on the other side. See you soon.